This robotic arm is being controlled not by a limb or computer, but by this woman's mind.
Oh, look at that. Got the whole thing.
I think that might be cheating.
53-year-old Jan Schuurman has not been able to feed herself for almost 10 years after being paralysed from the neck down due to a genetic disorder. But as a result of pioneering surgery, which involved microelectrodes being implanted into her brain, she's now able to control this robotic arm.
I just can't stop smiling. It's so cool. I'm moving things. I have not moved things for about 10 years.
The revolutionary device has been hailed a medical breakthrough.
I wanted to be able to capture those natural features of movement from brain activity, and this led to the idea that we could make this prosthetic and make sure that the prosthetic obeyed the rules of natural movement. So we just didn't have a machine moving, we had a device that let subjects express themselves. And that's what I was after, and it's actually really nice to see that happen right now.
I'm Stuart Hammeroff. I'm an anesthesiologist and professor at the University of Arizona. I study consciousness. I'm very interested in how the brain produces consciousness and the possibility of downloading or preserving consciousness in an alternative medium, possibly what people call immortality. This seems far-fetched at this point, but I think as we understand consciousness, it may become real and scientific. These approaches will be discussed at a very exciting conference in New York City, GF 2045, Global Futures 2045, June 15th, 16th in New York City. And I encourage you to participate and attend. It should be a lot of fun and very exciting. I think it's essential to study the brain. The answer is not entirely microtubules. We have to know how the brain is organized and the anatomy and the physiology of the brain. But I think it would be a mistake to focus exclusively on neurons as the most basic fundamental level. We have to go deeper inside neurons. Uploading into an alternative medium of your mind, of your consciousness into some other medium is possible. A, if we know what consciousness is, what that process is, and B, we have an appropriate medium. So if it's quantum computations in microtubules, then it could be transferred into a medium of microtubules or some other entity like fullerenes, which could do the same sort of thing as long as we have this basic process. We define consciousness as occurring when E equals h over t. This type of self-collapse of the quantum wave function happens. And if that happens in any type of medium, you should have consciousness. Now, it could happen in a medium that has no information, that has no cognition. For example, a neutron star has huge superpositions, but there's no information. So that would be a highly intense experience, but with no orchestration, with no information detail. So what we want is conscious experience with information and cognition. And I think that is possible if we can understand what consciousness is. And if it is indeed this quantum computation of microtubules, then the next step of being able to transfer would be relatively straightforward.
And this is sort of the classic way you take electrical information out of the brain very invasively and you get with high resolution, if you will, data. So let's pretend this is an accurate representation of a neuron, which it is not. It just looks pretty. It's a big audience, so you got to have things that look like this. So basically, you have a neuron, and this neuron it fires depending on the inputs it's getting. And it turns out that when it fires, it changes the concentration of ions very rapidly around it because it's using those ions to fire. And so there's a very classic method that's revolutionized things many decades ago, which is you put an insulated wire such that the tip is close to this neuron. Close means about 100 microns, although people will debate this. And you measure the potential between that and some distant electrode, which is usually some other piece of metal in your head, not near the neurons you care about. So by recording these signals, you can essentially infer something about the activity of those neurons. And that's been the basis of the type of work that you see, that you take these recorded electrical signals and then you do things with them.
And we're extending this to new polymerases. And we're, as part of the BRAIN initiative, thinking about the Rosetta brain, where we're not picking one particular winning technology. We're trying to stimulate new innovative technologies and to integrate them all into one brain and do that over and over again in different brains and different pathological settings in humans and other organisms. And here's a laundry list of the types of bytes that we need to store this information. If you're interested in brain uploading and downloading, these are the kind of absolute minimum numbers that you need to be considering, but it's not out of range. It's not necessarily far off in the future. So we're done. Just in summary, we already augmented ourselves extensively. Get used to it. Extrapolation can be off by 5 decades or more, either in the positive or in the negative direction. Molecular technology is probably where we're going with electronics, and it's already here. Again, it's 6 logs better, and it's improving faster in certain cases. Remember the word CRISPR, even though I haven't properly explained it. And innovative neurotechnologies is part of the acronym BRAIN that Obama has gotten us all thinking about. And it's about a plurality of technologies, including, but not limited to, the polymerase technologies and the fluorescent in situ sequencing I just talked about.
The reason we all die is because the various organs fail, and all of those organs that in essence are there to support our brain. A biological analysis shows us that brain cells can, in essence, live for 200, 300, possibly even more longer, but that they can live for much longer than the regular cells, 200, 300 years. To support this brain, we need a body that is an optimal body. How do we create a perfect body when we have a biological body, the essence of which is to constantly degrade and to constantly break itself down? So essentially, how do we do this? How do we maintain this perfect body for the brain? And that is to replace the various organs as they reach the end of their life cycle. How do we do that? We do that by implementing artificial organs. Essentially, we're already doing this. Glasses and artificial metal knee is a form of prosthesis. So we already have all of the things that are necessary to replace all of the organs in our body that would maintain this brain. However, we don't have a way right now to do it cumulatively so that all of these organs would correctly work together in a way that would create this perfect body. So essentially, if we can create this perfect body, we can have a body that will maintain the brain for as long as the brain cells will go and provide them with the nutrients, with the biochemistry that is necessary. So in essence, all of these characteristics that we have listed before us, all these characteristics of our personality, what makes us ourselves, can be maintained for as long as this body, this brain support system, in essence, can be maintained. As long as we maintain this artificial body, we can maintain the brain and what makes us us. How do we make the brain live forever or for a very long time? Say, for example, we can make the body. We can make a prosthetic body that will maintain this brain. How do we do that? How do we ensure that the brain lasts a long time? The first question is the surgical question. How do we connect? How do we hook up the brain to its brain support system? This is very similar to transplanting of organs, transplanting of tissue. In essence, we're talking about moving the brain into the new body and hooking up all of the support systems necessary for it. But first, we have to analyze whether it's even possible. Can we transplant a brain? And the second question is, once the brain is transplanted, can we hook it up to this artificial body? Can we hook it up in a way that will provide all of the nutrients, the biochemical nutrients, the blood system, the plasticity that the brain needs? So if we have this, if we have successful surgery to transplant the brain, if we have this ability to hook the brain up to a brain support system in this new body, the next question is, how do we get the brain to interact with with its surroundings? Brain-computer interface is the cutting edge, is the most important technology right now, something that is really being worked on in the neurobiology sciences, how to get the brain to interact with its surroundings. And I want to stress that this computer-brain interface would allow the brain not only to interact, but to also influence, to affect objects outside of the body, and also to affect the actions and goings-on within this artificial body, the prosthetic body. So we have the knowledge, we have all of these modules separately. Now what we need to do is bring them all together. The job for us, for researchers, for neurobiologists, is to make all of these sections more compact, something that could work together, can be integrated in one body. And something that we don't know as much about yet, but something that has opened up to us and is something that a lot of work is being done, is the plasticity. Something that we already heard from Dr. Martin, Dr. Berger, from Jose, from Glebdev, is the fact that the brain can actually adapt, and we want to leave it a little bit of room, we want to leave it some space to figure out what it needs to do, how it needs to interact with the external world through this artificial body. So in essence, there's a lot of work ahead of us, but we have the certainty that we can do this, we can achieve this. This is something that we have to work on, but we have that ability, we have the ability to live, to maintain the brain longer, and not just to maintain the brain, but to maintain ourselves, our personalities.
Sometimes people ask me about what is real, what can we do, what can we start doing right now? In what kind of project can we start investing right now? And I think that this roundtable could be a kind of public invitation to businessmen to participate in the lab, which the 2045 initiative will be launching quite soon. It will be a mirror-like lab between Russia and the United States, and the aim of the lab will be, to start saving lives as soon as possible.
To break the deadlock, the Russia 2045 movement was founded. It is a mega project intended to reach new heights and meanings. We intend to create a new vector for civilization, aimed at constant human development and evolution. As happened with the mega projects of the last century, the nuclear and the space programs, we integrate the latest discoveries and developments from the sciences: physics, energetics, aeronautics, bioengineering, nanotechnology, neurology, cybernetics, cognitive science. May everlasting spiritual ideals and values help us avoid going astray. Our project will give new meanings to the millions of people on Earth, will become a result of their joint creativity, and will lead us out of the impasse. Away from the murder of nature and physical death, forward to the realm of freedom and creativity, to the depths of the ocean and to the stars, to the infinite universe of our inner world. Our forecast for the next 40 years. February 2012. Global Future 2045 Congress is held in Moscow. It is a debate platform for discussion of our civilization's prospects for development. 2012 to 2013, the global economic and social crises are exacerbated. The debates on the global paradigm of future development intensifies. New transhumanist movements and parties emerge. Russia 2045 transforms into World 2045. Simultaneously, the 2045.com international social network for open innovation is expanding. Here, anyone interested may propose a project, take part in working on it, or fund it, or both. In the network, there are scientists, scholars, researchers, financiers, and managers. 2013 to 2014. New centers working on cybernetic technologies for the development of radical life extension rise. The race for immortality starts. 2015 to 2020. The Avatar is created. A robotic human copy controlled by thought via brain-computer interface. It becomes as popular as a car. In Russia and in the world appear, in testing mode, several breakthrough projects. Android robots to replace people in manufacturing tasks. Android robot servants for every home. Thought-controlled avatars to provide telepresence in any place of the world and abolish the need for business trips. Flying cars. Thought-driven mobile communications built into the body or sprayed onto the skin. 2020 to 2025. An autonomous system providing life support for the brain and allowing it interaction with the environment is created. The brain is transplanted into an Avatar B. With Avatar B, man receives new, expanded life. 2025. The new generation of avatars provides complete transmission of sensations from all 5 sensory robot organs to the operator. 2030 to 2035, Rebrain. The colossal project of brain reverse engineering is implemented. World science comes very close to understanding the principles of consciousness. 2035, the first successful attempt to transfer one's personality to an alternative carrier. The epoch of cybernetic immortality begins. 2040 to 2050. Bodies made of nanorobots that can take any shape arise alongside hologram bodies. 2045 to 2050. Drastic changes in social structure and in scientific and technological development. All the prerequisites for space expansion are established. For the man of the future, war and violence are unacceptable. The main priority of his development is spiritual self-improvement. A new era dawns. The era of neo-humanity.